Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's 1 Million by 1 Million Strategy Roundtable for Entrepreneurs. 1M1M, as you know, is the first global virtual accelerator in the world for startups. We run it out of Silicon Valley, but we work with entrepreneurs all over the world, and you will meet some today from different parts of the world. 1M1M's mission is to help a million entrepreneurs reach $1 million in annual revenue and beyond. And in support of that mission, we've done these free mentoring sessions for years and years now. This is our 335th session. And of course, we also have numerous private roundtables, which are for our premium members only. So this format of working with entrepreneurs from different parts of the world through this roundtable format has been our kind of standard format in this program, and it has worked phenomenally well. We have been able to work with numerous entrepreneurs from all over the world, and it's been fascinating. The event is being recorded. You will have a chance to look at the recording. It'll be available on our blog as well as on our YouTube channel. If you're live tweeting the show today, please use #1M1M. And join us on Twitter at 1M1M and at Stromana. Both handles publish a huge amount of entrepreneurial content, and very rich, very inspirational, educational content. So we hope that we will learn a lot from that. The YouTube channel is 1M1M Roundtables. Recordings of all our prior sessions are available there, as well as tons of other types of content that are part of the 1M1M program. So again, a very rich place where you can learn a lot from. Use whatever touch point you want to interface with 1M1M through. We have many different touch points through which you can learn from this program. Now, these are the call-in instructions. We're not quite ready for you to call in, but we will be. So do make a note of the call-in instructions, and I will put the slide back up when we are ready for call-in. Maureen, could you mute Taylor Wallace, because I think there is some noise that is being brought into the call through his line. I think he just joined. He's one of the presenters later. We're going to start today's session with a conversation with Ludovic Huraux, co-founder and CEO of Attractive World, and also he's doing a new company now that he'll tell you about. Attractive World has already been sold. So Ludovic, welcome to you, and it's great to have you here.
Thank you.
Why don't we start by telling us about Attractive World? What was the concept? Why did you think about it? And what was different about your idea? Dating websites are almost passé. What brought you the idea that that was something that you can build a new company around?
Okay. Attractive World is one of the leading dating websites in France. And the difference between Attractive World and a website like Match.com is that you have to be accepted by the community if you want to use the website. So you make a sign up, like the 15-minute sign up, where you share your passions and your professional interests and a lot of different information. And based on your profile, the community has 3 days to vote for your profile and accept you into the community. And we have 35% of people who are accepted into the community. And once you are accepted into the community, you can use the website. And there are a lot of events organized by the community. We have already more than 100 events every month.
So how did you get this business off the ground?
Because I was 24 years old. It was 9 years ago, and I was working in private equity, and I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I had a lot of different ideas, but I didn't have the courage to do it. And I thought about the dating market, and I was convinced that the dating market was going to be segmented, because at this time there was only one dating website called Mythic, it's exactly the same kind of website as Match.com in the US, and Mythic has been bought by Match.com a few years ago. And I thought that when you are single, you have a lot of different lifestyle. Some people want committed relationship, some other people want just a one-night stand. So I thought that the market was going to be segmented, and there was a space on the premium market. That's why I launched Attractive World in 2007.
And how did you get it going? You were 24 years old. What did you know about starting a company, and how did you, pull it together? Did you develop the software yourself?
Oh, I didn't know anything 9 years ago about internet, and I was not geek, so I made a lot of mistakes because I didn't have any business partner. I just had two of my best friends who just told me, quit your job and we will invest into your company. But when we started, we invested $100,000. So it was not a lot of money to build this kind of company. And so I worked with students who developed the website, but the website was not very, very good at this time, and we had a lot of trouble with the technical parts of the platform, and it was a very, very tough time. But 9 years ago, people were more patient. Now, when they download an app, if there is a bug, they delete the app and it's finished, it's over. 9 years ago, they were more patient, and so even if we had some bug on the platform, people kept using the website, and I raised money, and I understood that I have to draw people on board who have the skill I needed in tech and in marketing.
So you said you raised money from some friends, and if I remember correctly from our previous conversation, you raised like money from 80 different investors. Tell us about that. How did you meet 80 different people who wanted to invest in you? How did you manage this process?
Yes, I started with my two best friends, but of course after I needed more money. So I started with the people I met when I worked in the private equity business. So I talked to my colleagues, and I said, okay, I'm looking for investors, and it was in 2008. So it was a crisis, with the subprime, Lehman Brothers, etc. And people were very scared to invest into a startup. And with me, I didn't know anything about internet, so it was very, very difficult to raise the money. In France, there were no seed fund at this time. Now it changed a lot, and so I talked to my colleague, and I talked to the friend of my colleague, and they introduced me to potential investors. And I made my first fundraising in May 2008. Then my second fundraising in January 2009, and I raised 1 million euros with private people. And then the website grew a lot, and I raised money again with the friend of the friend of the friend, etc. And at the end of the day, I raised 5.3 million euros with 80 shareholders.
So with the first million, that was before the website was, done, how many investors were in that round?
I think it was around 25.
25. And these were friends and friends of friends?
Yes, it was friends, colleagues, friends of colleagues, etc. And how I started.
And then the next round, after you got the website going and started getting some traction, you added another 55 investors. Were these also friends, friends of friends, friends of friends of friends kind of round?
Yes, a little bit like that. We made, from 2008 to 2011, we made 5 fundraising, only with private investors. So we started with 25 investors. After we added 10 more, then 10 more, etc., etc. And the last fundraising was in June 2011, and I wanted to raise only 1.5 million euros. And in 1 month only, we got almost 5 million euros of agreements only with private investors because the company got a lot of traction. And so I didn't need to go to VCs because with the private investors, I got more than I expected.
So we'll get to that because I do want to talk about your traction, but you know, I have raised private angel rounds as well. It's very time consuming. So if you want to raise money from 25 investors or 55 investors, either you have to put all these people in one room and do one presentation to everybody, and then, you know, the rich people want to also have personalized presentations. They want to have lunch, they want to have breakfast, they want to have dinner. A fundraising round with that many people tend to become time-wise extremely expensive. Can you discuss your experience of managing this process?
Yes, because I didn't put everybody in one room. I made only face-to-face, sometimes with a group of friends, so maybe sometimes with 3 or 4 people. But you know, I really love to meet people, and that's why I really love when I have a fundraising, because it's a very good excuse to meet inspiring people. You know? So I like to make face-to-face. It's a very good way to exchange ideas, to find inspiration. And when I raise money, I don't feel it's a work. You know, I really love it, and the consequence is that I get money from them. You know.
So you like this process of having numerous lunches and dinners and meetings with people and explaining to them what you are doing, and that kind of energizes you in the process. Interesting perspective, actually.
Yes, as an entrepreneur, it helps me a lot, and most of the time, the people I met through the fundraising became my friends. So it's a very good way to make friends. It's a very good way to learn from them. It's a very good way to grow my network, to get more business opportunities. So to me, it's maybe the best way to spend my time as an entrepreneur is to meet this kind of people, because it brings a lot to the company and to me as a person.
Interesting. Okay. So let's talk about your business strategy that got you to the kind of traction that made Attractive World successful. If you were to summarize the key strategic decisions you made in executing to success, what were they?
I think that we have two, from a marketing perspective, we had 2 very good decisions we made. The first one is the way we launched the website, because I didn't know anything about online marketing. I did it offline. So I hired 70 ambassadors who went to the street and distributed some cards to talk to people and say that there is a new website called Attractive World, which is selecting his 1,000 first founder members, and it's how we launched the website. So it was very different from the classic marketing strategy to launch a dating website, and it was very good it has been very good for our branding, and it enabled us to get a lot of coverage from the journalists, because you know, it was very original, and a lot of journalists wrote about that. So this was a very good decision to launch the website, and the other decision, and it was a very game-changing decision, it's when we started to invest on TV advertising. It was in 2011. We showed that people were okay to pay 60 euros every month, because the first 2 years Attractive World was free. So in 2008 and 2009, in 2010 we started to make people pay for the subscription. It was 60 euros for 1 month, whereas our main competitor Mythic was 30 euros for 1 month. So it was a big bet. And in 2010, we saw that the conversion rate of Attractive World was very good. So at the end of 2010, even if we made, you know, not a lot of revenue, I went to see my shareholders and I said, okay, I really think we should advertise on TV. And at the beginning, they told me, Ludovic, you are crazy. You know, you cannot advertise on TV. You know, when you are a small startup, it's not for you. It is too risky. It costs a lot of money, and if it doesn't work, you will have lost all the money that you raised at the last round. But I convinced them, and we did it, and it was the best decision ever. We started with one very famous channel in France, and the brand awareness of Attractive World increased a lot and very fast, and the revenue grew very strongly from this time. So it changed a lot the way the company was perceived by the users, by the journalists, by the investors. The brand awareness went from 8% to 90% in 4 years, and now Attractive World is a very famous dating website in France because of the TV advertising. Because
brand awareness.
Yes, we were on TV like almost every day.
Wow, and so that you financed with this 5.1 million round in 2011.
Yes. We financed our TV advertising investments, and we became profitable in 2013.
So when you went to raise that round and sell this idea of television advertising to dramatically raise your brand awareness, the conversion of that people were subscribing, paying 30 euros or 60 euros to subscribe to the monthly subscription to the Attractive World site, that was already proven. You had already established that this conversion was happening.
Yes. We established it in 2010. We knew that the conversion rate was very good on the men, but also on the women, which was the best at this time. And we saw that the lifetime value was good as well, because the renewal the renewal rate was good. So I was confident on that, and I just needed to scale, you know, in France, and the best way to do it in France is to invest on TV, because your brand awareness is increasing very fast, and when you get brand awareness, your acquisition costs decrease, you know, and because your acquisition costs decrease, in dating business, acquisition cost is almost 50% of your revenue, so it's a lot. So if you decrease your acquisition cost, your company becomes profitable. And now we made the last 4 years, we made more than 50%, 15% of net profit every year.
And have you maintained television advertising at the same level, or did you get it up to a certain level, got a lot of viral brand awareness, and then let the online process take over?
We decreased it a little bit, you know. We decreased it maybe from maybe 15%, but it was still the biggest investment in our marketing mix. Last year, it was I think 60% of the marketing was invested on TV advertising.
Okay. So you did sell Attractive World recently. How did that sale come about, and why did you decide that? It sounds like it was going great guns. Why did you decide that it was the right time to sell the company and move on to another project?
Because I wanted to move to the US. I wanted a new challenge, and Attractive World was very profitable in France, but we didn't expand abroad, and I hired a CEO. She was managing the day-to-day operation, and I was not involved in Attractive World the last 2 years. So I thought that it was better for me to focus on my new project in the US called Shapr, and it was a very good timing for the investors to sell the company, since it has been like the last 4 years we distributed dividends, which is not classic for a startup. We distributed more than $4 million dividends the last the last 2 years, the last 3 years.
Fantastic.
And we thought that it was a good timing to close the loop, because all the investors were happy about the deal, and so I can focus on Shapr.
And did the company that acquired you, did they approach you or did you approach them?
They approached us. Yes, we didn't give a mandate to an investment bank. We didn't have the idea to sell the company, but Affinitas Group, which is a big German group, which is the leader in the premium dating in Europe and in the US, they came to see us and they said that we are very, very profitable in France, but we didn't go abroad, and they were in 28 different countries, so they thought that there will be a lot of synergies because our model and their model, and they wanted to buy Attractive World and expand the Attractive World concept in the other countries. So we thought that it was very relevant for the brand and for the company. That's why we made the deal.
Wonderful. And personally, you wanted a different challenge and you wanted to do a global business next. Yes.
I wanted to make a global business, and I was aware that to do it, you have to start with the US market. That's why I moved to New York, and I launched Shapr, which is a networking app which introduces you inspiring people every day.
So talk to us about what is Shapr and how are you doing things differently with Shapr than you did with Attractive World?
Even if it's all about connecting people, it's a very different business. Shapr is a networking app, a little bit like Tinder. You get up to 15 new profiles every day based on your professional interest, your passion, and your experiences. And if you are interested, you swipe on the right. If you are not, you swipe on the left. It's anonymous. And if you have a mutual interest, you match, and you can grab a coffee with the people you match with. So it's all about connecting people, because as I told you, I know how rewarding is your network. It's created a lot of very, very good opportunities for me in my professional life as in my personal life, and I wanted to make networking more seamless and more inspiring, because I don't think that networking is just about giving your business card at an event or try to sell your software on LinkedIn. I really think that you need to build a very genuine relationship first, and we aim to do that with Shapr.
And so Shapr is focused on business relationships, it's business networking. Yes.
It's focused on that, and we start to get a very strong traction in the US. We had more 100% of growth month over month in November and December, and we are very excited with our first subway campaign, which started in New York yesterday. So I'm very excited about this business because it fits with the vision I have in my life. As I told you, I really love to meet people. I think that you get a lot of opportunities and fulfillment from the people you meet, and we want to make it easy for everyone to do it.
And are you doing the way you are building Shapr? Is it focused on New York City right now? Just New York City?
Not New York City. We are focused on the US, even if we are in France and we start to have traction in UK as well. But the biggest cities are New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Chicago, and Washington. But other cities start to grow, and we hope that we will reach critical size in 20 different cities by the end of the year in the US.
So what kind of numbers are you at right now in terms of Shapr? When did you launch?
We launched in early 2016. The first year we got more than 150,000 people who signed up, and now we got more than 1,500 new sign up every day.
And what kind of people are signing up? Do you have any sense of where you're getting the traction? What segment?
Yes, we have different people. We have a lot of tech entrepreneurs who start their company and need to network to find their co-founders or their collaborators or some investors. We have freelancers. We have people who just moved to a new city. I experienced it when I moved to New York. You really need to rebuild your network with people who could be your colleague, but also your friends. We have people who travel for business. We have people who just want to change their life and change their career because they work in finance and they want to work in the tech industry, and so they want to meet people in different areas. So we have different kind of people who do that, but what we know is that 70% of the people who sign up on Shapr told us that they're on Shapr to find inspiration and exchange ideas. So it's not for selling products, it's more to exchange and find inspiration.
And the business model is subscription. These are people that are subscribing by paying a certain amount of monthly fee?
No, now we want to focus on the growth of Shapr and on the user experience. We are working a lot on the algorithm. So we partner with a very famous mathematician in France, because even if the app is very easy to use, there is a lot of work to match the most relevant people, and so we are working a lot on the best way to retrieve the data about your patient, your professional interest, your skills, your experiences, and with machine learning algorithm to suggest you the most relevant people for you.
Interesting. Okay, well, very good. It's I love your attractive world story. Shapr remains to be seen how it all pans out, and the main question, I think, I'm sure it's on your mind and it's on all entrepreneurs' mind, is that how do you monetize and are people willing to pay? So the question is, dating websites are easy to monetize because the goal is very clear. People are looking for dates, and people subscribe to dating websites. That model has been validated from the beginning of the internet. People were willing to pay for dating websites. The kind of networking website you're talking about or networking service has less validation in terms of the market willing to pay for it. So that remains a question mark, and I'm sure you're thinking about that.
I don't really agree because we have the same. Even if we are not competitor, and I think that the service of Shapr is very complementary from the service of LinkedIn. You see that LinkedIn makes almost $4 billion revenue with the same target. So I'm not really.
It's not the same target at all. LinkedIn's revenue model is primarily from recruiters subscribing to search their database. A very large portion of LinkedIn's revenue is that. So the matchmaking service took a long time for LinkedIn to start being able to charge for, which is their premium subscription, right? And it hasn't been a very successful monetization for them.
Yeah, but I don't think that the premium, there will be a premium package on Shapr once we reach the critical size, but it won't be the main revenue, I think. The long-term vision for Shapr is that people need to shape their life because the world is changing very fast, and you need to reinvent yourself and find the best way to get fulfilled in your professional life, and we want to help people to do it. of course, by introducing them to people who could inspire them in their professional life. But we also think that we could add some services like coaching, mentoring, learning some skills, and maybe find some very, very inspiring jobs. And we think that in this way we could make some revenue based on this kind of service.
So I'm less convinced about these the scalability of those models, but I'm sure you'll prove me wrong.
Yes, I'm sure as well. We need to talk in 1 year.
Right. Good luck, and thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing your story. I love your story.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, folks, we're going to switch to the entrepreneur pitch portion of the conversation today. I want to set a few expectations before we dive into this segment. Those of you who are pitching today, please know that we are on your side. The only reason we are here, we are doing this, is because we want to help you accelerate your journey, and we have experience which we can bring to your processes so that you don't make the same mistakes over and over again. And there's a very steep learning curve in early stage entrepreneurship, and this whole program is designed to help you climb that efficiently and learn from other people's journeys. We've had over 750 successful entrepreneurs in this platform sharing their experiences, just like Ludovic did today. And we've had numerous entrepreneurs who have contributed to building this acceleration platform. So we would like you to take advantage of it. And this is a working session, so we will be working with you on your business, on the strategy of your business, and that's really all there is to it. You may disagree with the input you get from the conversation today. It's really up to you what you do with the feedback you get. You can reject the feedback, you can discard the feedback, that's really up to you. But because we do not give off-the-cuff feedback, we give you considered feedback, it would be useful for you to at least consider the implications of the feedback you get today. The other thing is we see a tremendous disease in the entrepreneurship universe where people are obsessed about raising money. They think entrepreneurship equals financing. There couldn't be a more incorrect, more wrong presupposition on this topic. Not all businesses can raise money, not all businesses should raise money, and raising money does not guarantee success. So keep that in mind as you are thinking about your strategy. And finally, those of you who are not pitching today, please also line up your questions. Use the public chat to ask questions. Dial in when I will open up the line for Q&A. Participate. This is a roundtable. We want you to participate as much as you want to, as much as you can, and that's how you will learn the most, by asking good questions. Maureen, would you please freeze the video, please? We're going to start with Tracey Carr in London. Tracey, would you please unmute your line and tell us what you're working on?
Hi, Samana. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. And I just wanted to say thank you to Ludovic as well, because that was very inspiring. And
great story, wasn't it?
I did actually download his Shapr app.
Yep. So what are you working on, Tracey?
So I've only got 5 minutes, and so I'm going to whiz through just 5 simple slides, which is the value proposition. Obviously, you know my name. My background is 15 years in executive coaching and corporate leadership development, and I came to technology by accident. So what happened was I had developed a system. I was running my leadership business as a single mother of 3 children, and I had to develop a very tight system for goal setting and time management, etc. And I was then teaching that system. I then turned that system into a paper planner, and it was while I was at Google running a seminar, they said to me, will you turn that paper planner into software? And now I look back and I say, stupidly, I said yes. Because it has been a very steep learning curve for me. But if we could go to the next slide, I think I have finally got to the point where I have my business model. Samana, I really value this opportunity because it's the first time that anybody has seen this slide deck, and it's a very fresh, hot off the press business model. We've done all the detailed financials, so I really appreciate your feedback, and I'm looking to learn and grow. So here's the problem. We all agree with this. We're in a world which is very fast-paced, and people are overwhelmed and stressed with the amount of bombardment of information that comes at them. And so this is why I developed my system, which is obviously now in software. If we could go to the next slide. That quantifies the problem here in some figures. We've done a fair amount of research for the business plan, and so that's kind of, you know, well supported in our research, but also my direct experience of coaching in the corporate world. So if we could move on. So what I did was I spent a lot of time, I basically took my paper planner and I took photos of my paper planner, and then I was sharing those photos on Skype with a very talented engineer in Warsaw who was able to turn my product into something that resembled software in the early days. And I wanted to create something which is very different from everything else on the marketplace, because my experience or my frustration was that you can set your vision and mission on paper, you can do your goal maps, your vision boards, that's great, you have them on the wall. You might be setting your goals on paper somewhere, and then you're using time management in about 5 or 6 different places, and everything is disconnected, and I saw that as a very inefficient system. So what I wanted to do was create something that brought those elements together. And as far as I know, I've done extensive research into the, obviously, competitor analysis, that there doesn't seem to be another product that combines all three. So if we go to the next slide, you can see how I've done that. So essentially, when you log into the system, you can create your annual plan. So that has, even within that part, within the coaching part, there are 24 very carefully crafted questions that produce your annual plan. There's a vision board in there where you can upload images, and then you move on to setting your goals from that annual plan, but you set them quarterly, you then break those quarterly milestones down into monthly goals. And then this is the most important part. You then move into the time management aspect, which I call dump, chunk, do, and you're using that all day long, whether it's on your browser or it's on your iPad. You can, obviously, the next stage is to build the dedicated apps for it so that people can use it on the move and write offline and so on. And you then know that what you're doing with your time management is actually related to your goals and your plan, rather than somehow disconnected. So that's the product, and we have people using it. Not 10,000 people using it, but 10,000 people have been using this system for over a decade. But these quotes here, they are from real people who are using the system. We've had
How many people are using your software?
It's only been on the internet for 18 months. We've got 1,008 at the moment, and it's growing by about 23%. So,
and are these people paying for it, or is this a free software?
The app will be free, and most of those people are not paying, but we do now have a model on the internet where people sign up. They get 1 month free for $1, and they sign up. They're then paying for $19 a month for the whole system. So there are about 45 people who have somehow found the website and signed up and are using the system. So, you know, in a way, I guess I understand that that's, you know, some sort of achievement to have a product on the internet and to have paying customers. So I think, you know, in a tiny way, we've verified that we have a product that people want to use.
And these 45 people are not paying, though?
Yes, those ones are, but we have around 1,000 people, 680 of them are active users. And so a lot of them were test users in the beginning. I went into my network and got people to kind of help me shape the final product. You know, take user feedback and really understand what the customer wants and needs and build something that the customer wants and needs rather than what I think they need. So they came in different stages. There's also another aspect of the software which isn't on the internet yet, and that's called a coaching room. So coaches can buy coaching rooms and they can add their own users, and so a lot of users have come that way as well. So obviously, this is the size of the market. I think, you know, whichever way we look at it, whether we look at it from the technology aspect or from the coaching aspect, it's definitely a growing market.
So I'm going to give you a little bit of feedback on this slide. This 9.6 billion market is not the way you would calculate TAM. The only kind of TAM that matters in the business that you are in is bottom-up TAM analysis. So you need to take your pricing model and create a bottom-up TAM analysis, which is what you have here is a top-down analysis, which is kind of immaterial because there are so many segments in this 9.6 billion, even in this 885 million, there's so many segments in there. We kind of need to figure out where you're positioning this particular product, and you need to bottom-up TAM analysis for that segment based on the pricing of your product. That's one of your to-do lists, to-do list items for the business.
Okay, that's really good. Thank you very much for that. So here's just a slide with more quotes and research on the market opportunity.
So your assumption is that people are going to be paying $19 or $9. So take us through your business model assumptions.
Okay, so the next stage is to develop the dedicated app for Dump Chunk Do, which will be free, and we then upsell into, if they just want goal setting, they pay $9. If they want the whole system that I described, then they pay $19. And obviously, it can be customized. The software can be customized around, you know, any kind of business. So we would require a minimum of 15 people in a small business. That's $10, and obviously there's enterprise products as well. So it's a pretty diversified product. Pretty well.
So another piece of input that I have for you on this slide is that you can't be in all these businesses at once. You have to choose one type of business to be in. Do you want to be in B2B or B2C? You have this reverse, by the way. The first three are B2C, the second piece is B2B. But if you want to go into the small business market, that's a whole different go-to-market strategy. If you go into the enterprise market, that's a whole different go-to-market strategy. So you kind of need to decide which direction you want to go and, you know, how to go into those markets. It's, you know, you're kind of assuming that it's all one size fits all, and that's not the case.
Yeah, it's a really good point, actually, Samana, because I've got some pretty good people on my advisory board, and they feel that we should go corporate first, and I very much feel that I want to go B2C first, and I have actually developed the business plan around the B2C model.
But even within B2B, there is a very big difference in how you go to market into the small business world versus enterprise. These are two very different business strategies.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're going to need to make a decision on those.
Yeah, and absolutely, and of course, you know, there's a headcount cost as well with either of those. Whereas B2C, you know, I'm interested in what you think actually, whether my assumption is right that it would be better to go B2C first.
You know, in general, B2B is easier to bootstrap than B2C. And it's not clear to me that, see, the problem that I was talking about earlier with Ludovic is the same thing that I have concerns about with you, is that consumers are very, very reluctant to pay for things. There are certain types of services that consumers are willing to pay for, and subscription dating sites or apps is one of them. We have seen that from the beginning of time, that consumers willing to pay for dating. But by and large, if you look at apps out there or websites, web services out there, there's very little consumers are willing to pay for. They expect everything to come for free. That is not necessarily the case with businesses. Businesses know that things, you know, value, if you want something of value, there is a cost attached to it, and businesses are more willing to pay for stuff. So from that point of view, my instinct would be similar to your other advisor's instinct and your own instinct, is B2B would probably be an easier business to build. But I would like you to, again, another, you know, action item for you to take away from this call is you need to do a very thorough competitive analysis on what is there anything competitive within the small business market, and is there anything competitive in the enterprise market? In the enterprise market, you will see there's actually a lot of goal setting, and, you know, companies like SuccessFactors, these are HR, you know, what is called human capital management systems. Enterprise human capital management systems are very advanced. So, and I don't think you can really compete with a SuccessFactors or an equivalent system at this stage of the game in that world, and that's not your background. So some of it is also you have to kind of play to your own strengths, and you can't go into a territory where competitors have so much unfair advantage over you that you just don't have a shot at making this happen. So
yeah, absolutely. I did look at SuccessFactors in my competitor analysis, and interestingly, I think I'm right in saying they didn't make a profit before they were sold, which is another, I guess, drawback with the B2B model. But I think my product is different to SuccessFactors. SuccessFactors is about managers driving goals. Mine is about personal productivity and combining your home life and your work life so that you manage everything in the same place.
Yes, but you kind of need to convince enterprises to sell and fine. So anyway, develop those ideas. Develop those ideas in the small business context and develop those ideas in the enterprise context. And, you know, I'll be happy to work with you further to fine-tune and zero in on what is the right positioning, what is the right go-to-market strategy. But you have to do some more homework with which we can make those decisions.
Okay, good. That's really good. Thank you, Sramana. So like I said earlier, I did decide that what we could do reasonably, I don't know if it's easy, because obviously I haven't done that, and it's not my world to do digital marketing or know anything about it. So I've gone into my network and asked everybody I know, and I've found a partner, a strategic partner in California who is a full-service marketing agency that has a proven methodology for scaling the B2C model. So
these numbers, but the slide that you have up here is a completely unrealistic projection.
Yeah, we did feel that it was unrealistic. He seems to think that it's a proven methodology, which is where we got the numbers from, but, you know.
And then I will tell you, just the fact that an agency is giving you these numbers and telling you that these are proven methodologies, it sounds to me like complete bullshit.
Oh, okay, interesting. So if you wanted to run a B2C campaign, where would you take your numbers from? Benchmarking?
There's no real benchmarking as such, but I can tell you that companies don't scale at the kind of rates that you're showing based on, we see numerous businesses, and there is your personal learning curve. Two, there is a lot of trial and error to see what customer acquisition strategy sticks, and there is no silver bullet for that. For each business, that is a custom answer. We have to work through all that and find that answer, and it takes time. None of this happens, like you don't go from 0 to 25 million just like that with none of that factored in. And if somebody is telling you they can get you there, I'm almost certain they're absolutely bullshitting about it.
Okay. Well, that's really good feedback. Thank you, Samana. I'm definitely, that's what we felt, that it was unrealistic. So I appreciate that.
Tracy, one thing I would recommend. So hang on for a bit. Let me finish working with the other two presenters. Then I will talk about how to use 1 million by 1 million to plug your own methodology gaps. There is a bunch of things that you will need to learn. And remember, I said there is your personal learning curve in building a business, and there is all sorts of market-related experimentations that you're going to have to make. This is something, your personal learning curve is something we can accelerate. And then you are going to take the methodology that you will learn and then apply it to the experimentation process. And that process works. I can't say that is going to translate into $25 million in revenue in 3 years, but those are you have to put one step before the other to build a business. And we don't even have this particular business idea that you're talking about. It's not even validated. So all of those things these are kind of, you cannot avoid doing these things that are necessary steps in building a business. So there are certain things you have to do, and you better teach yourself very rapidly how to do those and what are the methodologies that you need to implement in building a business.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you.
All right. Taylor, you're up next from Boston.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. How are you doing?
All right, go ahead.
Awesome. So, hi. My name is Taylor. I am one of the co-founders of machine learning e-commerce platform. It's called InterestMe. So we can skip to the next slide. Our kind of tagline is that we're changing the way people discover and collect the ideas that define their passions. And, I guess before we get too deep into it, I should definitely preface with I'm at a very different stage than I think a lot of the other presenters in this room. So please bear with me. At a very high level, InterestMe, as opposed to the traditional trajectory of the startup timeline, we kind of work backwards. And what I mean by that is what started off as a pet project of, here's something that's annoying for me. I feel like every form of technology is getting smarter, apps and digital marketing. The technology is very clearly out there that there is a way to personalize something that's important to me, AKA, shopping and browsing online, yet it hasn't been done, so I'm going to do it. So that was kind of the origin of InterestMe. And so after the actual kind of MVP of the product was built, I began to think, I guess I should start to think about what a business model would look like for something like this. And so as opposed to kind of like that traditional path of problem validation and then that market testing, it's kind of a little messy. I digress. So,
what is going on in your environment? Why is there is there a dog barking or something?
Yeah, that's not coming from my line. I'm not quite sure where that's coming from.
That's my dog. He's outside. I think I'm going to go back and be an attendee. Sorry about that.
Yeah, that would be great, actually. So, okay, thank you. Thank you, Tracey. Go ahead, Taylor.
Yeah, sorry about that. So, yeah, essentially, target demographic, females, it's very broad. And the reason it's very broad is because of the structure of the application itself. So I guess I'll pause here and kind of go a little bit deeper into what I mean by that. The PI, the value, the real moneymaker of this application is in our in the software side of things. So what we do is we utilize some proprietary machine learning algorithms, specifically some deep learning neural networks, and we utilize.
Is that your background, Taylor? Are you a machine learning person?
No. So I come from a comp sci background. We have a data scientist that's working on our team. He is I think rock star is an understatement. This guy is one of the most brilliant people I've ever met. We met through mutual friends, and it was kind of fate that he was brought into my life and the InterestMe team at the time that he was brought into. So I kind of had a very high-level vision of how I wanted the application to work, in that the users are going to be, the users do engage with Pinterest-type content in a tender-type format. And what I mean by that is you select the genre, the category of content that you're interested in, and you are initially fed thousands of images that meet the meta tags that you've set. But as you swipe left or right based on content that interests you and doesn't, we begin to utilize that machine learning algorithm to create a more customized profile of what the tastes and interests are of that person as they swipe. And so over time, we're able to send them a completely curated list of, okay, you started off looking for a simple, black winter coat. After the first 5 swipes, every coat that you swiped right on is a trench coat that's knee length. Okay, so now we're only sending them knee length trench coats. As they keep swiping, all the jackets that they like are hooded. So it allows us to kind of create a more granular vision of what the person is looking for. And once they find that perfect thing, like, yes, this is it, we lead them to the source of that image online to allow them to acquire it more easily. And of course, that is our initial source of revenue, that affiliate marketing of helping people find the things that they're looking for in a more easily manner, in a more easily / efficient manner.
Taylor, are you trying to do this for clothes shopping?
So that is a large part of the reason why I signed up on this call. So the platform itself can literally handle anything. So cars, clothes, food, life hacks, BuzzFeed articles, the possibilities are endless. And so the application itself was launched last March, and our beta product focused exclusively on the target demographic of brides. So the categories were wedding dresses, wedding cakes, wedding venues, and that was just kind of to get that initial test of proof of concept. Since then, we've had amazing feedback from our customers. InterestMe was actually accepted into an accelerator that will be starting in February. And now that we've really gotten kind of like a second round of seed funding, we are at a critical crossroad of deciding where it makes the most sense to focus all of our energy kind of as we move into this next phase. So
what are the metrics of your bridal outreach? How many customers or how many users?
So at the peak of our beta outreach, we got up to about 780 users, and that was with 3 Facebook advertising campaigns exclusively. So we did not invest a lot in any sort of customer acquisition as much as kind of testing different kind of conversion models, because from day one, the top kind of hypothesis was, in order for this business model to work, we need to prove that we can acquire customers for next to nothing, because there is no scenario in which our customers will be paying for this software. All of the revenue was generated through sales that they're making through our app that they would have made anyways, and as we scale and build out our actual number of users, the data that we're collecting to be able to say, this is literally the most popular wedding dress on the web right now, or this is the ugliest wedding dress on the web right now. Literally no one swiped right for this.
And you acquire these customers with a focus on people who are looking for bridal merchandise. So you kind of advertise a venue where you bring in bridal merchandise interested people.
So actually, I think if you skip to the next slide, I know I have an image. Okay, so skip. Okay, so this is kind of like it might make it a little bit more easy to explain content-wise. So there is one image that's not shown, and that's actually the selection page. So when you first log into the app, there are a bunch of different genres. So if it's wedding hairstyles, you would select the button, I'm interested in browsing this. Wedding dresses, you could also select that, or you can select both. Wedding rings, and you can kind of curate how much content you're trying to take in. And then from there, each Polaroid or each image is served up to you kind of as is shown right now, and the image at the bottom. So this is kind of in some of the iterations we've done post the wedding specification, where we were just throwing out a bunch of different genres. I'm trying to collect as much customer feedback as possible. So you've got this article, top 10 cheapest travel destinations. That sounds interesting. I'm going to swipe right. Strawberry shortcake cake pops. That sounds disgusting. I'm going to swipe right. And so the context is you can select how specific you want to be in the content that you're being served, or if you're just killing time, you can literally select everything and you can just browse through.
Okay, I have a few questions here. Taylor, we need to move.
Yeah, of course.
Do you have the loop closed? Like, for instance, these 780 customers, are they all in the bridal category?
780 customers, I would say of that number, 60% are in the bridal category.
Okay, and what are they being served in terms of content? Do you have affiliate relationships with either other bridal merchandise providers that you are serving up to them, or is that loop not closed yet?
So we have a number of local organizations. So I'm based here in Boston. So a number of independent photographers or wedding planners or cake designers, whatever, that have reached out to us and are interested in getting their content featured. And because
but that's not going to help you. If you want to make a business out of this, you need affiliate relationships where you can create a direct relationship between what the people who are swiping through your system, you need to convert them from browsers to customers who are buying merchandise on your site. Otherwise, there's no justification for this business.
Right, and so with that initial launch, it was literally our first attempt at proving the hypothesis that people would be interested in engaging with content in this manner, because we had no data, other than Pinterest, and the actual study behind Pinterest, the actual study behind Tinder shows that the enjoyment factor with that application wasn't necessarily coming from the swipes, but was actually coming from the psychological principle of whether or not someone was going to match with you. So we needed to prove that people wouldn't find the concept of swiping through content to be monotonous, and thus that would turn them off. So with the bridal launch, our goal was, very specific, and can we acquire users when the only value is them swiping through this? So after that was proven true, with this next iteration, that's kind of why I started with the focus on retail, because that's very heavily where we're leaning towards focusing. Done a lot of research into retail trends, specifically digital, e-commerce retail trends moving into 2017, and there is just so much potential that perfect timing with the technology that's now becoming not only available, but available for.
All right, Taylor, let me give you some feedback because I need to move on to Andrew.
Okay.
If I were you, the way I would build this business is I would go find whichever category, whether it's bridal or just more generic e-commerce, whatever, or travel, whichever category you want to go for, I would close the loop. I would go find a whole bunch of e-commerce places that you can monetize this business off. And then basically what you provide, what you serve up for swiping needs to be tied to those, to that content that relates directly to the retailer, so that people who are swiping to buy. And when they buy, you get paid. So that you have a business here. Remember one thing, Pinterest kind of businesses are not going to be built very often, because the amount of red ink venture capital that goes into companies like Pinterest, it doesn't come about very often. So if you're setting yourself for that level of capitalization risk, you're going to fail. So you've got to control your capitalization risk, and you've got to become a business as quickly as possible that generates money. And if you can create a pathway to cost-effectively acquire users that you can then monetize through this affiliate model, this is a business that that has its, and if your unit economics work, then you have a business, and that business can be grown organically with little bits of funding or even with revenues. Then you have a business, your chances of success are much, much higher. But if you set yourself up for a situation where you have to acquire millions and millions of users before there's going to be any monetization, that kind of business today in 2017 January is not very easy to fund, or I would say even impossible to fund.
Right.
Okay. All right.
Awesome.
Good luck.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Is Sagar Desai on the call?
Yep, I'm here.
All right, go ahead, Sagar. You're next.
All right. So how's it going, everyone? So my name is Sagar Desai. I'm actually co-founder of a company called Dentilink. We're a company that's building an online marketplace to connect dental labs with dentists and dental clinics. Next slide, please. So our mission is basically to create more transparency in this ecosystem. Typically, the way that clinics connect with labs right now is if you're a young dentist that maybe just graduated from dental school, you might join a clinic, and then you either start working with a lab that the clinic is already working with, or maybe you find somebody on your own. And if you want to find somebody on your own, typically you have to maybe do a Google search, see what labs are in the area, spend 3, 4, 5 days visiting them, seeing if they're a good fit for you, seeing if there's rapport that you're able to build up, seeing if the quality standards are up to par with what you expect. So it's very time-consuming, and we're basically bringing that whole process online so that you can just, actually I'm still on the previous slide. So we're just bringing that process online so that we can introduce efficiencies into the system and give better access to emerging technologies. Next slide, please.
So first feedback is this needs to, all the things that you said needs to be cut down to a 30-second clip.
Okay, okay.
So practice, wordsmith yourself, and next time you do this presentation, make sure this happens in 30 seconds.
Will do, will do. So what's our opportunity? Basically, to give you a sense of what the market size is, for any dental clinic, the #1 expense is payroll, right? So paying for the dentist working there, paying for the administrators, that's the #1 expense. The #2 expense is these lab costs. So if you have a patient that comes in that maybe needs to get a brace or a crown or a prosthetic or an implant, the dentist isn't the one doing that work. They send that work to a lab who does that work and then sends that back, right? So there's a case that's built, the specifications are filled out, and that case is, either faxed over, emailed, et cetera, and then, the work gets done and sent back. But in this industry, what we're seeing now is that where maybe in the past there were 10,000 labs across the country, and each one maybe serviced the local area, now there's, with the internet, with, I guess, greater access to, other localities, there's a lot of consolidation that's happening. So corporate labs have a lot of leverage in this scenario because they can basically have larger marketing and sales budgets, all right? They can get their word out there, and even if they don't do great work, just because of the exposure that they have, they're able to get customers. Whereas a small-time lab that may be doing great work but doesn't have a sales force isn't able to compete. We suspect that with the aging population, with the baby boomer generation growing older every year, the need for these prosthetics and implants is only going to grow for the next 15 to 20 years. We suspect that our market is going to be around $6.4 billion in the U.S. And if we target specifically dentists that are under 40 years old, that's $1.5 billion.
So again, that's not your market. The thing that you need to understand is how to assess the market size for your business. This is the market for implants and prosthetics. That's not your market. Your market is based on your business model, your pricing model, and how much money you can make off of your business model. So you need a bottom-up TAM analysis. This is a top-down analysis that doesn't make any sense for your market. Go ahead.
Yep. So this slide basically goes back to what I was saying, where we have an aging population, and we expect that the baby boomer generation is going to grow in size in terms of their needs for prosthetics and implants over the next 15 to 20 years. And because of this generational shift, this demographic shift, we see that our market is going to expand. So what does this mean in terms of how we're going to be making money? So we put up some pretty conservative numbers. If we take 1% of the total volume of transactions, and then we also participate in the shipping transaction, so we handle the shipping. That's 1% plus $2 each way. And if a dentist uses the platform for 5 years, that's around $3,000. And if we even say more conservatively, that's half. Let's say suppose we only get half of that, $1,500. It would mean that we can basically spend about 15 to 20% to acquire these customers, and to acquire 500 dentists, it would require.
Sorry, I'm lost. What is the $2,800? What are we talking about here? Is that the cost of the prosthetics that are being transacted on this platform?
It's the amount of money that we would make over 5 years if we only charge 1% of the total volume of transactions, right? So if a case, for example, costs $200, then if we charge a 1% transaction fee, okay, that would be $2. And then if we charge $2 for shipping, or if we make $2 on shipping each way, these are very conservative values. We're also looking at a subscription model where the lab pays $100 per month, and it's basically a SaaS product then, and the clinic pays $100 a month. But that's not as conservative as this. So that's where we got the $2,800. And then
I still don't understand. And Sagar, I have gone through thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of presentations. So the fact that I'm not understanding your business model, what does that say to you?
I need to clarify it.
Yeah, exactly. So let's try it again and try to explain it in a way that somebody actually a lot less smart than me can understand.
Sure, yeah. So
what is the business model? What are we talking about here? What is your business model? What do you make money off?
So there's two models that we're looking at. All right, number one is a flat transaction fee. Okay, as a marketplace, we would charge some flat transaction fee per case. Okay, and the other scenario is that we charge a subscription fee. All right, and that's a flat subscription fee per month, similar to other SaaS products. Okay. So
first thing you should say in this slide is that you're considering a marketplace transaction-based, transaction fee, commission-based business model, or a subscription fee SaaS type of business model. That's the number one thing that you need to say. And you've kind of gone all over the place with 1% volume of transactions, $2 shipping. What is that all about? Why is $2 shipping, 1% total volume of transactions? I don't understand what these numbers are. 5 years using platform. None of these feature in a marketplace. Business models are very standard. Marketplace business models are usually commission-based or sometimes listing fee-based. And subscription business models are subscription business models. They're monthly or annual subscription fee. So all the other things that you have on the slide are, as far as I'm concerned, ununderstandable.
Okay. I should revise this. You're right.
The slide needs to be revised so that somebody can understand what the hell is going on here.
Yeah.
So your point is that you haven't yet decided on which direction you're going to go, into whether this is going to be a marketplace subscription, a marketplace commission fee, or a SaaS subscription fee model.
We're leaning more towards the SaaS, to be honest, because it is more profitable.
Okay, how many dentists are there and how many labs are there who are going to pay the subscription?
We're launching the product right now. In fact,
no, I'm asking you a TAM question. It has nothing to do with launching the product. What is the total available market for how many dentists and how many labs are out there who are likely to pay the subscription fee? Now, if you don't have the answer to the question, this is the question that you need to answer to calculate your bottom-up TAM.
Yeah. I don't know what percentage of dentists would use the platform. There's 191,000 dentists in the U.S. There's, on this, you can see there's 7,000 labs.
7,000 labs, okay.
Yep.
So roughly, round numbers, you have about a couple of 100,000 potential subscribers to your software.
Yeah.
And what is the subscription fee that you're thinking of charging?
$99 per
month or per month? Okay.
Yeah.
So then your available market here, based on all these assumptions that you said, is $99 times, let's say, $100 times $200,000. Yeah. That's your monthly TAM, and play it out to the annual TAM, and that's really the business that you're trying to build here.
Yep. I really should get rid of the transaction fee slide because we're not really looking at that as seriously anymore.
Okay.
So if you actually go back a couple slides, yeah, so right here.
I need to move on. So why don't we go to your question? And I've already given you a bunch of feedback. If you have any other questions, I have to move on to. I have to do one more entrepreneur presentation before we wrap up, plus a little segment on one-on-one.
Let's go to the next slide. Yeah, so this is basically a look at the platform. It's very, very simple. You basically have a dashboard where you can go through and look at cases that you've worked with as a dentist, all right? And you can filter through cases and see, filter them by date, filter them by the type of case, right? And the platform is built to be HIPAA compliant. We're using AWS HIPAA compliant servers. So a lot of dentists oftentimes are worried that, you know, maybe their security isn't up to par with what the standards are. So we ease this concern right from the start. So this is an added benefit of using Dentilink. And the same goes for labs, is that they're able to secure their data. This is a timeline of you know, the upcoming year. We're going to be launching in Chicago. And from there, we'll roll out to the East Coast. This is
needs to go off.
Description of
it needs to be revised. The slide needs to be revised. All right, what is your question? I really need to move on to the next presenter. We've already spent 20 minutes with you, so it's your time is up.
Yeah, so I wanted to hear your thoughts on basically how marketplaces can become sustainable. Obviously, there's some pretty good examples like Uber and Lyft, but if you look at some figures, they spend a lot of their money on market expansion, right, or growth. Like Uber, for example.
So the big difference between Uber and Lyft and your business is TAM. You really need to understand the role of TAM in raising money. Uber and Lyft have very, very large total available markets. Your total available market, based on what we just discussed, is at best about $240 million. More likely, it's about maybe $50 million. And $50 million businesses are not what professional investors fund. So the way you're going to need to build your business is A, with bootstrapping, and 2, potentially with friends and family investors. The moment you present this TAM, most investors are going to say that this is too small as an investment opportunity from a market size point of view.
So one of the things that Uber, right? So they lost money in the first half of 2016.
That's not the point. TAM. Please try to understand TAM. It has nothing to do with losing money, not losing money. The decision to invest or not for an investor is very largely weighted by what is your total available market size. So I try to understand that. I need to kind of switch to Andrew, but if you hang on, I will explain to you how to plug your methodology gaps. Like Tracey, you have a lot of methodology gap that you need to plug in, Sagar, and learn what financing means. You're making assumptions, you're quoting valuations, and so on and so forth. You can't do that. That's just not how financing works. Okay?
Got it. I'll stick around.
All right, Andrew, you're up next.
Good morning. How you doing?
Hello. How are you?
Excellent. It's good talking to you again. It's been a little while.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So
how are you doing? Go ahead.
Yeah, things are going good. You know, it's been a little over 3 years since started this business, and it's been going good. You know, I joke around a little bit about it, but I feel like I'm living in that TV show Silicon Valley. As ridiculous as things are, you know, I can relate to some of them, so it's kind of interesting. But I do wanted to, the one thing, like, you know, I hear you saying all the time, and I want to stress this is probably one of the big lessons that I learned, and partially because, you know, I didn't listen to you, I didn't listen to some other people, is don't focus on raising money, focus on your business. You know, it's like the time that you need to raise money, or the time somebody wants to give you money is going to be the time that you're not going to need it. You know, so they'll come to you all the time. And that's one major strategy that we definitely changed. I mean, we did raise some money, but I'll tell you this, it probably would have been better if I didn't raise the money, because whenever we raised the money, it gave us money to spend, and we didn't know how we were spending it, right? So if we didn't have that money, we would have been a lot more efficient. We would have learned better. We would have been, you know, we wouldn't have spread so fast so quickly, because when you spread so fast, going back and changing something, it's a lot more difficult and it's a lot more expensive. So I completely agree with you. Bootstrap all the way. Bootstrap all the way. So actually, our focus now is not raising money and building the company as we have it right now, and continuing to build it and doing it as efficiently as we possibly can. So anyways, going into our business, my background has been cybersecurity, all the way back to the point when people didn't know what the heck cybersecurity was. Nowadays, you know, Putin is the biggest hacker out there, so everybody knows what it is. It's in everybody's living room. It's in everybody's business. So our model is a little bit different than everybody's. We started this out based on the founders' backgrounds, how we build cybersecurity. Now we see other companies popping up that are doing something similar to us, so we feel that we did pick the right direction in which to go. And our slogan, like, what is clean internet, or experience clean internet? And I'll kind of explain that, because clean internet means a lot of things. But if you want to go to the next slide, I want to talk a little bit about the evolution of the perimeter defense, or a firewall, or unified threat management, or whatever you want to call it. But basically, a long time ago, we built these things called local area networks. Great time. And then we had to figure out how we need to defend it, which was a firewall. Well, over time, this firewall evolved, and we added a bunch of crap on there to be able to better defend from all of the threats out there. And it became a very complicated thing with a lot of requirements, and it really slowed down this firewall. If you want to go to the next slide. So because it slowed it down so much, it created this problem that I call the cybersecurity trichotomy. And here you can't see it really well, but basically the trichotomy is this. You have a choice. Do you want great security? Do you want performance? Or do you want low cost? And today, this is the problem everybody experiences, and the choice that everybody has to make. And the reason why is because of the model that we have today. It didn't evolve. The perimeter didn't evolve with the way that everybody uses the network. So if you want to go to the next slide. So basically, you know, back in the day, everybody got an AOL disk, plugged it in, bam, we're connected. And then we evolved into what I mentioned, local area network, where more than one computer shared one internet connection, and we build that firewall. Well, if you want to click the next slide. What happened is that we started evolving even more. That local area network, you know, laptops appeared. People started taking their computer off of that network, home to Starbucks, then mobile devices and mobile phones. But that perimeter, it stayed the same. It stayed being a physical box at a physical location, right? And not only did it create the problem of now you have it very, very slow because your processing is confined to this one little box, you know, but the location doesn't move along with you. So what we did is we took the perimeter and we virtualized it and moved it up into the network. So this perimeter we call OmniShield. This UTM, this firewall, is omnipresent everywhere you go, no matter what location, no matter what type of device. It follows you wherever you go. You could leave, but as if you're going to always act as if you're still sitting there at the office, protected by the same rules, protected by the same filtering, the same everything. So what we did is we extended that, what we knew once as a trusted local area network, we extended it up to where now, no matter where you are physically or geographically, you're always on that still trusted local area network. So that's just the product overall. The way, you know, during the process, of course, we learned, we evolved, and we went from just doing security to what was a very good fit, and we learned about this thing called software-defined WAN. And software-defined WAN, enterprises know it. Our customers, they have no idea what it is. So we have to kind of explain to them what it is. And, you know, we started going, okay, so what is clean internet? Clean internet, we pitched it as it's security, it's safety, right? But it's also a lot more things than that. And to answer that question, you got to ask yourself, what do you use the internet for? Well, usually people, the litmus test for security is speed test, right? How much bandwidth do I have? And that's the worst thing in the world because nobody uses their internet that way. Number one, we're doing this call right now, right? So that's a very important part of using the internet. Is voice, is interaction, is payments, commerce, all those type of things. So you want quality, reliability, you want it to be resilient, of course you want it to be secure, and there is that fast portion of it as well, but we've overhyped that one piece just because we love speedometers. Go ahead, go to the next slide. So overall, we added the SD-WAN portion, which is combining internet connections, doing quality service, and all that kind of stuff because it was such a natural fit. So if you look at the overall picture, you know, I found it, just pausing really quick, I found it very important what we're doing to show comparisons, to show pictures, to show very simplified diagrams so people could kind of understand what it is we're doing because it is a little bit different. But if you look at this diagram, this picture over here, the side on the left is what everybody is doing today, right? They're doing the protection at each location. That last mile, that bandwidth is being polluted by all the crap on the internet, and because you're not blocking it until it gets down to your location, and you're limited to that location. What we're doing is we move that all up in the network. We moved your perimeter, so now no matter your location, whether you're New York, Dallas, Atlanta, or LA, you still have that consistent perimeter, consistent security, and you have that optimized bandwidth. You can combine multiple ISPs to make it look like one to have that overall complete clean internet. Skip the next slide. So these are the two products there.
Andrew, let's go to your metrics in terms of where you are. We're going to need to speed up a bit. So I understand what you're trying to do. I think everybody understands the business. Talk about where you are in terms of, you know, customers, etc.
Sure, yeah. So I didn't put the slides on there because mostly I stopped pitching from a raising money perspective. But overall right now, we're approximately at 2,500 customers. We do everything through the channel. One lesson we learned early on in the beginning where we shifted to we need to sell everything through the channel. As far as monthly recurring, we're right around 100K monthly recurring on that.
Great.
Now,
and what are you?
ARPU.
Sorry, is the channel the blue collar IT channel that we discussed?
There's multiple channels. That's been our primary channel to date because they are the most flexible, the most tolerant, and we can learn the most from them. As we build up, and that's the majority right there. As we kind of build up through the blue collar IT channel, the MSP channel, we started getting a lot of larger, what we call strategic accounts that we've signed some contracts with. So what we did is we kind of took the focus off of this channel that requires a lot of maintenance and, you know, doesn't really sell a lot. And they're giving us that run rate, and we're still growing that. But we put a lot of the focus on these more strategic accounts where, you know, they commit to sell, you know, like 5,000 or 10,000 customers per year. And focusing on that will help us to get to that next level. And then we could go back and start building our sales and marketing strategy to keep going on a sales perspective, like the channel perspective.
Great, very good. Thank you for the update. I'm glad you've hit your 100K monthly. So you're now at a $1 million ARR run rate, and also it gives you, you know, more evidence, market evidence to go to the next level. Just so I'm actually thrilled to hear everything that you said, that you're, you know, now off the track of desperately trying to raise money all the time, and you're basically making steady progress in terms of revenue. You know, the difference between what our philosophy is at 1 million by 1 million versus all the other accelerators out there is we are a revenue-focused accelerator, customers, revenues, profits, as opposed to most other accelerators that are financing-focused accelerators. And it's a huge difference in philosophy, huge difference in perspective.
I couldn't agree more.
I'm very, very happy to hear your update, Andrew. Good luck. And we are kind of at the end of the session. I'm just going to take a few minutes to, you know, give you a little bit of summary about how to use 1M for those of you who are relatively new to the program and need to use the program to learn some of the lessons that Andrew has already learned. Andrew, by the way, has been in the premium program for a while, so he has learned a lot of the lessons that you will be learning going forward. So basically, you will find everything at 1mby1m.com. And if you start following just our blog, which is completely free, you will start learning a lot there. The Entrepreneur Journeys book series is 12 volumes. All of them are available on Amazon. This is another body of work through which you can learn methodology. And many of you who come here, often I tell you that you have methodology gaps. And you have to trust me on this because I've done this for a long, long time. You have to plug your own personal methodology gaps, and that's a requirement. If you have methodology gaps yourself, then you're going to start making decisions that are going to be wrong decisions, and you're going to just waste a lot of time. Instead, if you follow good methodology, you're going to avoid making those mistakes, and we can shepherd you along on the right track so that your process gets accelerated as opposed to drawn out over 24, 36 months where you're going to learn by making all these mistakes by yourself and maybe never learn at all if you don't put that methodology angle to it. So come to these free roundtables, listen to the free roundtable recordings online on YouTube, and again, you will learn a lot from those as well. If you want the full acceleration program from 1M that offers you extensive methodology guidance. We have an online curriculum that is a case studies and video lectures based curriculum. We will help you with business development. We will help you with complete project-based coaching on a weekly basis. We will help you with financing if you decide to go the financing route, and we'll need to help you become fundable. But there are very high bars on fundability, and you're going to have to cross those bars before you can become fundable, and you need to be fundable before we can get you financed. So there's a progression there. And we also have a lot of clout in the media, so we will help you with media relations. All that is part of the 1M Premium program, which is a $1,000 annual membership fee. Go to the self-assessment page. There is a very clear set of questions, methodology questions that I'm going to ask you in there that you need to answer. You are an investor in your business, regardless of whether you have any external investor or not. You are an investor in your venture. You are investing years of your life in building this company, so you better act like an investor such that you ask yourself the right questions and make the right choices. Now, if you do find as you're going through the self-assessment, there are things that you don't understand. If you don't understand bottom-up time analysis, if you don't understand positioning, if you don't understand customer acquisition methodology, go do 1M Basic, which is our curriculum only. You can do it on your own. It doesn't have all the project coaching and all that, but it does have the curriculum, which is the bulk of the methodology training that you can get for $99 a month, and you can decide how long it takes you to do it and just go plug your methodology gaps. It's essential for you to know the methodology. There is a methodology. There's a method to this madness, and you do need to learn that methodology. Otherwise, go dig around on the website, on the 1M website. We have very comprehensive information about every single bit of the program, and see what is the right point for you to interface with us, whether it's the free roundtables, the curriculum, 1M Basic, 1M Premium, the roundtable recordings, reading the blog, reading the books, whatever. We've given you so many different ways in which you can learn. See what works for you and get going. The video FAQs will answer your questions about the program. We've had over 750 successful entrepreneurs participate in building this, body of case studies and insights, the methodology itself. So, you're basically standing on the shoulder of 750 successful entrepreneurs, of which 50 plus have built unicorn companies, 400 heavily venture-funded companies, 300 plus bootstrap success stories. So you have a full triangulation of all the options out there. However, our methodology is lean, capital-efficient bootstrap startups. Even if you want to raise money, you have to bootstrap first, get to validation, and then raise money, because that's what investors are looking for. Investors want to invest in validated businesses. So keep all that in mind. And we have roundtables every Thursday. So please sign up and book your slot and come and work with us. And this is a working session. We will work with you to help you design strategy. And if you have been in the premium program and you want to provide update like Andrew did today, that's fine. That's perfect. You can use these strategy roundtables for doing that as well. These are the call-in instructions. If you want to ask, we're kind of at the end of the session. If you have a quick question or two, go ahead and ask the questions either in public chat or by calling in. We'll take a few minutes to quickly do Q&A. And let me introduce you also to Irina Patterson. If you have questions about the 1M program, you can always reach out to Irina at 1mby1m.com, and she'll be happy to walk you through whatever questions you might have. Anybody, questions? comments?
So,
we are 10 minutes over time. Go ahead. Is it Sagar?
So you were mentioning earlier about TAM, right? About how, I guess my slide was a little bit off with, having a transaction fee instead of a subscription. What are your thoughts on the two models and setting up a marketplace?
The thing is, it really depends on your business and what your market will tolerate. There is no silver bullet answer to your question. It really depends on the nature of your business and the nature of the motivations of people to participate in your marketplace.
Okay.
So, different marketplaces behave differently. So if you try to do eBay as a subscription, that's not going to work because that is a clear transaction style marketplace.
Right.
At some level, I like subscription business models better just because subscription business models are easier to bootstrap. So in case of Andrew, he's doing $100,000 a month now based on a subscription business model, and that's great. He has raised a little bit of money, but he's by and large bootstrapped up to this point, and that's because of the subscription model. Marketplaces on a transaction basis are harder to bootstrap. So if you can do this with a subscription model, your chances of success actually are higher. But the other question remains: is this going to be a vibe? In your case, I think it may actually a subscription business model may work fine.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking because of the regularity of cases, right? So each dentist sends about 30 to 40
And what
cases
you're offering them is more kind of like a marketing channel. So it's almost they're subscribing to a marketing channel where you're bringing together potential business. So it's a business development subscription. And in that case, I think it might work better and it might work fine.
Right. So I guess it depends on the perspective, right? So from a lab perspective, it is a marketing and sales supplement.
Yes.
But from a dentist
and you need to position it as such. You need to message it as such. You need to position it as such that your customer base is receiving that message right. So it's absolutely vital what language you use, what messaging you use to convey your value proposition. That's vital, absolutely.
Yep.
All right, folks, I think we're going to have to wrap up because we are already 13 minutes over time, and I'm sure we can go on longer, but let's just continue the conversation next time, okay? Please come back, and we will, we'll continue the conversation, and if you want to pitch, just sign up, and let's continue the working session. Bye, everybody. Thank you for coming.
Take care. Thank you for your time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.